I was 17 the last time I saw my mother alive, and I didn't even look up from my phone when she left the room. I heard her footsteps pause in the doorway. I felt her standing there, waiting for me to acknowledge her. But I was too busy, too important, too consumed by a world that felt so much bigger than the four walls we shared. She said, "Good night, sweetheart. I love you," and I just grunted. A noise, not even a word. Those were the last words she ever said to me, and I answered her with a grunt. Her name was Sarah, and she was the kind of person who made the world quiet just by being in it. Not in a sad way, but in a peaceful way. When she walked into a room, problems felt smaller. When she laughed, it was like she was genuinely surprised by joy, as if she had forgotten what happiness felt like and just rediscovered it. I didn't appreciate that. You never do when you're young. Our house was small, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen where the cabinets didn't close properly. She worked as a receptionist at a dental office, standing on her feet for 8 hours a day, coming home with swollen ankles and tired eyes, but she never complained. She would make dinner, ask about my homework, and sit on the couch with a book she never seemed to finish because she was always too tired to read more than a few pages. I thought that was just life. I thought she was just mom. Functional, permanent, unchanging. There was this one habit she had that used to drive me crazy. Every night, before bed, she would knock on my door frame, just a soft tap, and poke her head in. She'd ask if I needed anything, water, a blanket, to talk. I'd always say no. Sometimes I'd be annoyed that she even asked. Looking back, I realized she wasn't asking about water or blankets. She was asking if I still needed her, if there was still a place for her in my life. And I, with my teenage arrogance, told her no every single time without actually saying the word. High school was everything to me then. Friends, grades, a girl named Mia who smiled at me in chemistry class. These things consumed my brain. They felt like life or death. When you're 17, a text message not getting a reply feels like the end of the world. You don't realize that the real end of the world is much quieter. It doesn't buzz in your pocket. It just happens while you're looking down. I remember a Tuesday. It was raining. Nothing special. I came home from school soaked, and she was in the kitchen with a towel. She had it ready before I even walked in. She did that. Anticipated things. She handed it to me and said, "Wipe your hair before you catch a cold." I took the towel, barely looking at her, and went to my room. That night, I heard her on the phone with her sister. She was talking about a headache she'd had for a few weeks. She laughed it off. Said it was probably just stress. Said I was stressing her out. It was a joke. I rolled my eyes from my room and put my headphones on. The next morning, she didn't wake me up. That was strange. She always woke me up. She had this annoying habit of singing, "Good morning," in a silly opera voice until I opened my eyes. But that morning, silence. I woke up late, panicked, and rushed into the kitchen. She wasn't there. I found her in her bedroom. She was lying on the bed, still in her nightgown, her eyes open, staring at the ceiling. For a second, I thought she was playing a joke. I said, "Mom, come on, I'm late." She didn't move. I stepped closer. Her lips were slightly blue. Her hand was resting on the pillow, fingers curled, like she had been reaching for something in her sleep. I don't remember calling 911. I don't remember the ambulance. I just remember standing in the driveway in my school clothes, watching them put her in a bag, and the rain was still falling, and I was getting wet, and she wasn't there with a towel. A brain aneurysm. That's what they told me. A ticking bomb in her head that no one knew about. It could have happened at any time. It happened that night, while I was in my room, scrolling through photos of people I didn't really care about, ignoring the only person who truly loved me. The days after were a fog. Relatives came. People brought casseroles. They patted my shoulder and said things like, "She's in a better place," and "Time heals all wounds." I wanted to scream. What did they know? What did time know? Time wasn't there when she made my lunches. Time wasn't there when she stayed up late sewing a costume for a school play I didn't even get a part in. The worst part was the silence. The house was so quiet. No opera singing in the morning. No knock on the doorframe at night. No sound of her book pages turning in the living room. I would catch myself listening for her, waiting for her footsteps, and they never came. About a week after the funeral, I was looking for a sweatshirt in her closet. I don't know why. I just wanted something that smelled like her. I reached up to the top shelf, and my hand hit a box. A shoebox. I pulled it down and opened it. Inside, there were things I had made her over the years. Crude drawings from kindergarten, a clay ashtray from 2nd grade, even though she didn't smoke. Cards with misspelled words. "I love you, Mom. You're the best." And underneath all of that, there was an envelope. It had my name on it, her handwriting. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a letter, dated 6 months earlier. She wrote that she had been thinking a lot about life, about how she didn't have much money to leave me, but she wanted to leave me something. She wrote that she hoped I would become a good man, not a rich man or a famous man, but a good one. She wrote that she knew I was at an age where I didn't need her as much, and that was okay. That was how it was supposed to be. But she wanted me to know that even when I didn't need her, she still needed me. She still needed to be my mom. And then she wrote something that broke me. She said, "I know I'm not the most exciting person in your life. I know I'm just your mom. But I hope that one day, when you have children, you'll understand. You'll understand that from the moment you were born, my heart has been walking around outside my body. And that is the most terrifying and wonderful thing in the world." I sat on the floor of her closet, surrounded by her clothes that still smelled like her, and I wept. I wept for the grunt I gave her instead of words. I wept for the nights I chose my phone over her face. I wept because I realized that she wasn't just my mom. She was a person with fears and hopes and a heart that walked around outside her body. And I had been so careless with that heart. The harsh reality hit me then. It hits me now even as I tell you this. We treat the people who love us most like background music. We assume they'll always be there, playing softly, and we only notice the silence when the music stops. I used to think I had time. I thought there would be a moment someday when I would be ready, when I would sit her down and tell her I appreciated her, when I would introduce her to my wife, let her be a grandmother, watch her spoil her grandkids. I thought I had decades. But life doesn't ask for your timeline. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. I'm 28 now. I have a daughter. She's 5. Her name is Lily, and every night I knock on her door frame. Just a soft tap. I poke my head in and ask if she needs anything. Water, a blanket, to talk. Sometimes she says no. Sometimes she's too busy with her toys. And when she does, I don't get annoyed. I stand there for an extra second, just watching her. Because I know that one day she'll be too old for these knocks. One day she'll be a teenager with a phone and a world that doesn't include me. And that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. But I need her to know, even if she doesn't understand yet, that from the moment she was born, my heart has been walking around outside my body. I keep my mother's letter in my nightstand. On the hard days I read it, and I talk to her. I tell her about Lily. I tell her about my job. I tell her I'm trying to be a good man. And I always end with the same 3 words. The 3 words she deserved to hear that last night. I love you, Mom. The truth is, we never know when the last time will be. The last time you see someone. The last time you say goodnight. The last time you have a chance to look up from your phone and really see them. So if there's someone in your life who loves you, who knocks on your doorframe, who asks if you need anything, don't ignore them. Don't assume they'll always be there. Look at them. Really look, because one day, the music will stop, and all you'll have is the silence. And the memory of a grunt, when you should have said, I love you too.